I'll start with a short story. A few years ago, I watched a guest leave my casino floor frustrated after a confusing slot dispute. That moment made me realize how much design, not just judgment, shapes people's experience, and it's part of why I chose this Odyssey. Hi, I'm Barbara Richardson, and this is my Odyssey Plan story. I'll share my Odyssey Plan I am prototyping, how my critical thinking, strengths, and personal brand have evolved in this program, and how I'm turning that into concrete next steps. My goal is to show how design thinking helped me move from ideas on paper to a realistic path I'm excited to test in the real world. Out of the 30 Odyssey paths I sketched, I chose Life 1, Tribal Casino Operations Manager, to prototype first. It's grounded in my slot operations and supervisory experience, and it connects directly to something I care about, using gaming revenues to support tribal housing, healthcare, and education. This plan feels the most real and actionable over the next 3 to 5 years. It gives me a live arena to practice decision design, ethical guardrails, and better systems while staying aligned with my value of leaving people better than I found them. In weeks 2 and 3, I became much more aware of how biases and fallacies show up in my decisions. In one slot dispute, I assumed that because the button layout could lead to a $5 bet, the guest must have chosen it, and that's affirming the consequence. I later created a design hazard exception and small goodwill credits for ambiguous low-dollar cases instead of trusting my gut alone. In another case, I showed omission bias backed by outcome bias when I didn't document an employee's error so they can transfer into a better role. That led to a policy change and more flexibility for internal moves. Paired with the idea of gravity problems, I've shifted from fighting reality to designing better decision rules that I can bring into my Odyssey prototype. My top Clifton strengths are intellection, connectedness, achiever, responsibility, and learner. For Life 1, I plan to lean into these instead of treating them as background. Intellection and learner help me slow down, think clearly, and map processes before I make changes. Achiever and responsibility keep me delivering on what I promise and maintaining high standards. Connectedness ties daily work to tribal community benefit, which is essential in a gaming context. Together, these strengths position me to design clear systems, surface risks early, and make casino operations more humane and less confusing for both employees and guests. These strengths also carry real risks. Intellection and learner can keep me in my head too long. Achiever and responsibility can push me into overwork and taking on too much. Connectedness can lean so hard into meaning that I skip concrete steps. To round out these flat sides, I'm building simple guardrails into my Odyssey prototype. I'll use timers to cap analysis, ask a peer mentor to sanity check scope and priorities, and set clearer boundaries so I don't say yes automatically. These practices help me show up as an authentic leader, values-driven but also clear, decisive, and sustainable. Before the EMBA, my personal brand was basically technical casino operator who fixes problems. I was known for being analytical, tactical, and good at cleaning up messes. Through this program, and especially this class, that has shifted. I now see myself as a manager who designed decisions and systems. I use data, ethics, and empathy to create clarity for frontline teams and leaders and to protect guest dignity. In branding terms, I'm moving from a narrow problem solver identity to a broader service-oriented, community-minded leader who designs how decisions get made in the first place. Week 4 and later reflections made it clear that I'm most engaged when work links values to visible outcomes. For example, designing ethical guardrails for promotions, tying slot decisions to tribal mission, and building simple dashboards that show progress. Compared with my nonprofit and philanthropic paths, Life 1 gives me a near-term arena to practice all of that with real stakes and real feedback. Nonprofit leadership and philanthropy are still on my horizon, but right now, tribal casino operations is the best lab for learning how to balance revenue, guest dignity, and community impact. To make this Odyssey real, I've designed a few simple but powerful practices. First, I'll shadow 1 or 2 tribal operation leaders for a full shift and debrief what energizes or drains me. Second, I'll write star stories about tough calls like guest disputes or policy exceptions to clarify my decision rules. Third, I'll mock up a Mission Plus metrics dashboard that balances revenue, guest experience, and tribal impact. Fourth, I'll build a weekly 10-minute reflection ritual asking, how did my decisions serve both guests and the tribe this week? Finally, I'll use a monthly peer or mentor check-in to watch my workload, boundaries, and whether this path still feels like a fit. These small, repeatable actions move my Odyssey plan from theory into practice. Stepping back, this Odyssey plan is really about moving from fixing problems in the moment to designing better decisions and systems that serve guests, teams, and tribal communities. These small practices give me a concrete way to test whether Life One is truly a good fit and to keep adjusting as I learn. Thank you for listening to my Odyssey story.